I've got to 3 grams and I noticed, I'm like, okay, that is something like from head to toe, my pain got better. I mean, I had really bad, the bladder pain and the sacral pain and the nerve pain was just excruciating. And that went from an 8 to a 2, I would say. 8 to a 2. And I was like, and I used to be a big runner. And I was like, I feel like I can go and run. And my husband's like, slow it down. You just took this, and this is a little, just let's adjust. So I kind of stayed with the greens and reds, and I went up to eventually about a 3.5 grams.
So I'm here with Stacy Wismer, a fellow Kratom consumer, eager to hear her story and have her share it with you all. So Stacy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I just love doing this. This is something I'm just very passionate about. And I think it's important for people to hear our stories.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself and life before Kratom.
Okay. Well, I was born in Michigan. I'm from like a little outside Ann Arbor, Michigan, and where University of Michigan is. Um, my parents divorced when I was young, so my parents remarried. I moved around about 13 times. Wasn't in the army. I just happened to move around a lot. Only child. As a child, I always was really sickly. I had just odd things all the time. I was happy, but I just always had really odd sicknesses. Um, and I just kind of blew through them, didn't even think anything about it. Um, when I got into college, I think part of it was I started drinking a lot to cover up some of my symptoms. Cannabis didn't do it for me. It didn't cover anything up. I just had no good reaction to it. So I would just drink a lot. It would cover up a lot of my symptoms of pain, just weird things that were happening that no one could figure out, but it wasn't constant. It was just here and there. I started dating my husband my freshman year of college, and I had a pretty good 4 years of decent health, just weird little blips on the radar. Um, and I'd say probably when I was 22, I started having really horrible pain in my bladder. What I had this kind of in the past, and I thought it was a urinary tract infection. And so, of course, you drink cranberry juice. That doesn't do anything. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. So I went to like every doctor. This is back in, 1998. I went to every doctor you could think of, and they just didn't know what I had. They just said, you don't have an infection. But the pain, and at this point, I was bleeding just pure blood when I would go pee. And it was just excruciating. And I had just gotten engaged and I was getting ready to start a job. And I was thinking, I can't do this. I don't know what's going on. I'm 22 years old. And so I went to a urologist, and they said, well, you might have something called IC, interstitial cystitis, but we don't really know what it is. We don't know what is caused. We don't know really what's going to go on. And I said, well, okay, is there a specialist in this? So I finally found a specialist, which was very rare in 1998. And I went to Beaumont, which is in Royal Oak in Michigan, and probably one of the top guys that is the IC specialist. I still see him today. And he did a bunch of tests. You have to have a camera, go in and look at your bladder. And basically what it is you have open ulcers in your bladder. Your bladder lining has worn away, and you just have these open ulcers that are in your bladder that we don't know why they're there. So it's not an infection. You just have ulcers in your bladder. So I had a choice at that time to start medication to build a fake lining in my bladder, start pain medication, which I had to at that time. I had to do something until I could heal up the ulcers, and then change my diet completely. So it's called an IC diet. And at that point, I had been drinking a lot in my life, and I had to absolutely cold turkey cut out alcohol, like right away. It was just cold turkey, no alcohol, no caffeine, nothing acidic. So my life became bland, mashed potatoes, macaroni. I mean, anything that was the most bland food you could ever want to eat. That's what I had to eat. Water and milk. That's all I could eat. And that went on for about a year, and I got better. We moved to Colorado, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have a mixed drink one night. I'm better. Threw myself right back into it again. And I said, I can't do this anymore. I have to stick to my diet. In between this, I was taking pain medication. And in those days, they gave you whatever. Like, they were trying to give me methadone. They were trying to give me all sorts of stuff. And I think at that time, I was just going to take, I was probably 89 pounds soaking wet. So I think I would take like a half a Percocet just to get me by for like a month, like a day. And then I'd get better. And then I'd stick to my IC diet. And that kind of went on for, I would say, like 10 years. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, and I went into remission, which is very common when you're pregnant with IC. And this is kind of where my health, it's like something about pregnancy just brings out stuff in your body. Had a healthy pregnancy, had her, and I just lost too much blood. I had an emergency C-section. I ended up having postpartum psychosis. I ended up getting seizures from that, from something. It was something with the spinal damage from the spinal tap. It was a mess. So that started on my severe depression kick. So then I have IC and depression, which the IC was still kind of in remission a little bit. And so then that started my journey with living with IC and then deep, deep depression, which I'd never had ever. And then I would say I had to wait 5 years to get pregnant again with Griffin because I was not well. I was just not well. And I maybe had 1 or 2 episodes where I had to go back on some pain medication in between then, but it wasn't a big deal. I didn't have to do it for long. And then I had Griffin, actually a really great pregnancy. Everything went well, still in remission. And then I would say maybe about 2018, I started feeling like I was sitting on a rock, like something was in my pelvic area. And I'm like, this is just bizarre. Do I have a pelvic infection? Do I have cancer? Like, what's going on? Went to every doctor you could think of. At this point, I'm used to doctors. I will push and push and push. And I will go to every doctor until I get what I want because I have been doing this since I was 22. And my gynecologist is like, let's give you a pelvic floor MRI. And everybody else was giving me MRIs up. So they went lumbar up. And this one was lumbar to your tailbone. And right away, a big cyst in my sacrum popped up. It was a big, on my S3. And it was pretty big. And they're like, well, that's a Tarlov cyst. They're like, usually these are asymptomatic. And I said, well, I'm telling you, I have pain it felt like I was sitting on a rock and I had horrible pain in my like lower sacrum and my left part of my butt. And it was to the point where I could barely walk now. And then also my urine would just trickle out. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? So I looked up Tarlov cyst specialists, and number one was Dr. Frank Feigenbaum in Dallas. So I called him and I said, can I fly? I mean, I barely could drive at this point. I said, I need to come in and have a consultation. I got all my MRI reports. I said, no one wants to do anything at U of M. No one wants to treat it. And if they did, they wanted to do some weird procedure that I read up on, and everybody was saying, no, don't have the aspiration of this cyst. Flew into Dallas. He looked at my MRI. He said, all of your symptoms correlate to Tarlov cyst disease, which is basically a fluid-filled cyst on your spinal nerve root. And it's I guess spinal what's the spinal fluid that balloons your nerve root out and then starts compressing all the other nerves. So that's why my urine was trickling out. That's why I felt like I was sitting on a rock. And he said, I can do the surgery. You'll be here, you'll be in the hospital for 10 days, and then you'll have to, for 7 days, and then you'll be recovering for 10 days in Dallas. So here I am in Michigan. I have 2 children, and then I have to have somebody go with me. And my husband at the time had a really, really high paced sales job. He was in global payments, and he was always gone. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? Well, my parents were very supportive, so I knew I had help. So we flew to Dallas. And he said, listen, I'm going to stop the progression, but your symptoms might still be there. And I'm like, he's like, it's possible your nerves can get better, but if we don't do it now, it's possible that you might not be able to walk, pee again. I mean, it was bad.
Wow.
So I went, had the surgery. It wasn't actually that, it was bad. Don't get me wrong. It was bad. But they were just amazing. He knew what he was doing. I loved Dallas. I had never been to Dallas before. They were great. The whole team was great. He's just phenomenal. And I had become friends with like 2 or 3 other people that were having it done at the same time. It's usually women that have these, and you can go all up down your spine. So now I have a propensity to get them all up and down my spine. I haven't gotten a new one, thank God. But there was a young man that was in the next room, and he was probably 20 years old, and very unusual for a man to have it. And he had it, and the things that men have when they have it in their sacrum, terrible. So I recovered. He said a 5-year recovery, 5 years. So
Wow.
I was like, oh man. And at this point, I was working part-time. I'd never really been able to go. First of all, I had children. And second of all, my health was just never great. It was always something bizarre. I had these myoclonic seizures. I had the deep depression. I also had 2 children. I just was never able to go. Now, I had a career job. I work in engineering, but they let me come back part-time. It was amazing. And they were very, very, I was blessed. I had a really good manager. He's like, you do the work, you're fine. Just come in 20 hours a week. I was on my husband's insurance, thank God. And I just started healing. I took I think I took 6 months off. It took me a while. And then I went back part-time, and I would say in 2022, I got in a bad car accident and totaled my car. A guy had hit me in a roundabout, and it ignited something in my body. Some kind of inflammatory response, not really sure. Before that, I had been acupuncture, massage therapy, homeopathic. I have done it all. Anything natural, I have done. And nothing was helping me. I couldn't stop the pain. I couldn't even go to work barely. If I did, I was crying. It was bad. And I was thinking either I'm going back on pain medication, which I never did a lot. I was very careful with it, or I got to do something else. Like a spinal stimulator. What do I do at this point? And people with Tarlov cysts don't do well with spinal stimulators. So I was like, gosh, I can't live the rest of my life. At this point, I think I was 45 when I got it. So I was about 48, I think, 2022. I can't remember how old I was, but I was like, I cannot end my life now. Like I have a lot more life left. So my husband said, Amanda, his best friend's wife, she has endometriosis really bad in the hospital. Was in the hospital every month. He's like, she takes Kratom every night. Remember I told you that? And I said, yeah, I remembered, but I don't know. I just didn't think anything of it because I was so weirded out by it. I was like, no, I'm not taking a tea, And then he's like, Stacy, don't you remember in the mid 90s, my friend Bart, he was in the mid 90s. I remember Zach telling me his friend Bart would crush up the Kratom leaves, put them in capsules, and then he worked for a mail order company in Ann Arbor, and he would ship them to women that have women's problems, whatever that meant. That's about the only information I got on my husband. I tried to before I talked to you, and that's all I got out of him. So I heard this in the mid to late 90s. I just thought, I have no idea what this plant is. I just knew that if this guy that he was seeing encapsulating it, he was a little sketchy. So I was like, I'm not touching this. But then when he knew, and I was desperate, and I think this is what you hear a lot. People are desperate because they're kind of weirded out by Kratom. Like, I don't know what this is. And I called Amanda and I said, how do you take it? What do you take? Where do I go? And she was just unbelievably helpful. She gave me, go to the AKA, look at vendor approved, try little sample packs, she went the whole gamut, greens, reds, whites, all that. And I did. I ordered the stuff. I started out 1 gram, got one of those teeny little scales, started out 1 gram, and it was probably, I think my first time taking Kratom was probably one of the funniest things that my family has seen. We had just had a garage sale, and I'm like, I'm going to try my Kratom for the first time. Trying to Green Valley strain, did a 1 gram. And remember, I don't drink caffeine. I took 1 gram and I could not stop talking. Like I literally could, I was like, and I was outside and my family's like, what did she take? Like at this point, I think Zach was the only one, my husband was the only one that knew that I had taken the Kratom. I could not stop talking. Now
Wow.
it didn't really help with my pain at the point, but it made me happy. And I could not stop talking. And they were laughing hysterically. And they will never forget the first day that I took it because I talked nonstop. So then I'm thinking, well, I need to increase this. So I think I went into it very slow. Maybe 2 days later, I did 2 grams. Okay, I can feel a little bit, but it made me a little jittery because remember, I don't drink anything caffeinated. And I'm super sensitive to medication. So I said, well, Amanda said that sometimes the reds can make you tired. And you know how everybody says the reds make the pain better? Well, I tried the red and it didn't work for me. It didn't even make me sleepy, really. It just did nothing. So, but I'm thinking the green's making me a little jittery. I'm just going to add a touch of the red in. I've got to 3 grams and I noticed, I'm like, okay, that is something like from head to toe, my pain got better. I mean, I had really bad, the bladder pain and the sacral pain and the nerve pain was just excruciating. And that went from an 8 to a 2, I would say. 8 to a 2. And I was like, and I used to be a big runner. And I was like, I feel like I can go and run. And my husband's like, slow it down. You just took this. This is a little, just let's adjust. So I kind of stayed with the greens and reds, and I went up to eventually about a 3.5 grams. And I'm one of those people that measure it out to the nth. I'm just real OCD that way. I know some people just dump it and they're good. I am not that way. I did one time take 4 grams and I threw it up. So I know that I have a threshold for me personally. And so 3.5 is my sweet spot. I alternate between I have different strains of green and different vendors, which I learned from you and other people. But I also learned from my husband because he is a cannabis user and he would talk about strain confusion and stuff like that. And he actually now works in the cannabis industry. So the cannabis industry, they sell Kratom in Michigan at their places. I don't get it from there. I get it from the approved vendors, but he had known my Kratom for a long time. And he's like, Stacy, you should have tried this 20 years ago. I'm like, there's no way I would have done it. So now I'm still bizarre. I'm a little weird about it still. I probably should take it every day, but I take it 5 times a day, 5 days, once a day, 5 days a week, and I have 2 days off. And the reason I do that, and this is too much information, but constipation, and it doesn't matter what I do. Now that I went through early menopause because of my surgery, it threw me into early menopause at 45. And every single symptom that you can have with menopause, I have had. Constipation is one of them. And so then you add kratom onto it. It does not matter. I think the only thing that can dislodge anything is if I take a fiber drink, probiotic, a laxative, two laxative. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I take 2 days off just to kind of give my body a little, so I don't get used to the strains, and then just to give my body a little bit of regular day. Now, those days are rough. I will admit that I sometimes take a tramadol, 25 milligrams tramadol, and I'll take a Tylenol and an Aleve. Um, my husband thinks it's ridiculous. He's like, you should be taking it all the time. He's like, why are you doing this to yourself? I'm still working through that. It's been since 2022. I'm still like finding new vendors. I'm really like weird about finding new vendors because I don't know. Some people got me all weirded out. They're like, you should test it for fentanyl and all that other stuff. And I was like, oh, don't put that in my brain. I'm already a worrier. And I'm getting it from their approved vendors. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm going off of this list, you know? And yeah, that's kind of where I am now. I took it today at about 10, and I feel great. I mean, I felt like with another thing with menopause is not only does my back, my nerves hurt where my back is and my bladder, but the joint pain that comes with menopause, from head to toe, I feel like I have the flu all
Oh,
the
wow.
time. Did not know that that would happen. My mom had a hysterectomy at a very young age. She didn't tell me about any, no one talks about this.
Right.
But I love to talk about this. I like to talk about kratom and I like to talk about menopause.
That sounds like a podcast you should start.
And my that's all my girlfriends and I talk about. And I it has helped me so much with menopausal symptoms. The the pain, the joint pain. I mean, I take it and I have all my normal pain and the joint pain, and I take it and it just eases everything. I can go out and run now. I do like a run walk. I can do any kind of video, like workout video. Um, I mean, I still have, if you'll see me shifting a lot, I still can't sit normally. That's the one thing with, I have a plate in my back where my sacrum is, and it still hurts to sit. So I have a stand sit desk wherever I'm at. Um, Driving hurts me tremendously to this day. Even if I have kratom, I can't drive very far. So that kind of stopped me going for long distance drives, even long plane rides. My in-laws live in Spain. It's a tough flight over.
Yeah.
I have two teenagers, so well, one's almost 20, and they drive me around. So thank God. But yeah, that's kind of a short Cliff Notes version of my crazy life.
Stacy, your story is amazing, and you're a great storyteller. I mean, you just painted the entire picture, and you did such a great job of that. So, thank you
Thanks.
for sharing all of that. You know what's interesting with you, and I think like many of us as we get older, you're so in tune to your body, and like
Yeah.
you really are aware of everything. Because when we're like that, we're able to understand more than the doctor does
Oh
at
yeah.
many times, because that we're paying attention to every little detail.
Yeah. I have become my own advocate right away, and I do the same for my children and my husband. I have probably had 95% bad doctors, 4% good doctors, maybe one, well, no, 3% good doctors and 1% excellent doctors. Because I've been in the system since I was very young. I'm about 50 now. So it's like I've seen and heard it all. And I go into certain situations, if I go into a new specialist, and I can just tell right away. I'm like, we're not going to get along. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. I do have a really fabulous doctor that's a homeopath and an MD right now, and she's like, you can do the kratom, or I can give you tramadol. What do you? I mean, she was the first doctor since they stopped giving opioids. That's like, you know what? You're a chronic pain patient. She's like, I know you don't abuse it. If anything, you don't take anything I give you. Like I've been on all. I've been on every antidepressant. I've been on every gabapentin. I've been at all for pain, and nothing helped until I did kratom. Not even when I take the tramadol during the off days, takes my pain from a 9 to maybe a 5, 6. Um, and then I have to take a leave and a Tylenol on top of it, and it still doesn't do anything. So again, like, why am I doing this to myself? I don't
Right.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting. Well, when I was in pain management for 9 years, I had never really ventured into botanicals and
Hmm.
supplements and stuff all that much. So, you don't know what you don't know, at
Right.
least for me. And so I was just like grateful I could get access to opioids for my chronic pain.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, at least I'm able to function more and I can work more and do stuff. And I'm like, "Okay, this is not bad." I mean, I didn't feel great, and I still had a
Right.
very high pain level. I mean, my really, good day would be a 6 or a 7, easily. Like, I never
Right.
was below that,
Right.
on a good day. Bad days with all the opiates, I'd be at a 10, or I tell the doctor I'm at
Right.
11, like,
Right.
a lot of people don't understand what we go through when we
Yeah.
suffer from really severe chronic pain.
Yeah.
And when I lost that access, I'm, like, really freaking out, like, I mean, it wasn't that opiates were, a magic pill for me, but it
Right.
allowed me to not be on disability, to be able to work,
Yeah.
to be functioning, to be a mom, to do all the things I wanted to
Yeah.
do. I
Yeah.
couldn't do a lot of physical activity, but that was okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You learn that that's okay,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know?
You really do. And it's like, I was an athlete before. I'm not an athlete anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I at least can live my life and I'm not in a wheelchair. Right.
Right.
Um, you got to put things into perspective. And even, I mean, I remember them trying to give me methadone, and my husband's like, "You're not taking that." And I'm like, "Gotta take something at some point." This is before kratom.
Yeah.
And he knew it. I mean, and he's like, "Take it if you need it." But I think at that point I had gotten on some better medication. But this was just such a kratom was just such a blessing to me,
Yeah.
and I didn't even know it was out there. I knew it was out there, but
Right.
I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I just assumed it would never happen with my pain because I have the nerve pain is so bad. I thought, well, it's muscle pain, it's endometriosis. No, and I also have 5 ruptured discs in my neck,
Mm.
and that was
I
from
can relate.
the
I can
car
relate to that.
accident.
Yeah.
And I'm not having surgery on that. I just go to PT. I mean it. I have to say sometimes my neck pain's worse than my back pain. I don't know
Right.
which one's worse. So I say to my doctor sometime, I said, listen, I feel like I'm dying. Like, do I, if someone would say, this is terrible to say, and gosh, God, I don't mean this, but it's like, if someone would say I had cancer, like, I would not be shocked. Like, that's how bad I felt like my bones hurt.
Yeah.
Um, you can't live like that. You just
Mm-mm.
can't. Um, it's to the point where the pain is so bad that I shake, I'll start shaking and all I can do is lay down on the side.
Yeah.
I can't stay on the ground laying down all the time. So kratom has just been amazing, just with just a few side effects that it's not bad. Trying the constipation. I do notice that it does affect my sex drive a little bit. Um, that's just me. I am trying to figure out if the 30 pounds I gained was from menopause or something. I don't know what it's from
Yeah.
because I work out and I don't eat very much. So I'm just like, a lot of people that take kratom say they lose weight.
I
Um,
People have been all over the map with that because, on my TikTok, so many times people ask questions and then,
uh
or like in a comment, and I'll turn it into a video post so that
yeah,
everybody can answer.
yeah,
And it's always interesting when we have that particular subject because, you know, some people say they've lost a lot of weight since they started kratom. Some people say I've gained weight. You get a
yeah.
lot of us that say no change,
A
and
change.
it's always across the board. There's
Yeah.
never like this pinpoint. I've heard sex drive. I've heard that one before from
Hmm.
some people. Usually men will say that, but
Yeah.
sometimes I've heard that one. Constipation, I think, is the most common
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
reaction with kratom. But you know what? So was opiates. I actually
Yeah.
had worse experience with that when I was in
Yeah.
pain management than I did with kratom. But what's
Yeah.
interesting that I always tell people, because a lot of people are like, I don't know what to take with this kratom constipation. I said, look, when I was in pain management, I had a lot of that was like my biggest adverse reaction was dealing with
Right.
that. And at one point, my doctor had me use Senna S, which is over the counter.
Yep.
And, and that one's good because it's a combination of the softener and a laxative. And he
Yes.
says it's safe to take every day. You could take 3 a day, and that should help you tremendously, because we
Right.
were going to put me on a prescription one. I'm like, well, if I can avoid a prescription one that's not as
Right.
strong. So he said, let's try this. And if it doesn't work, then we'll do the prescription. Senna S 3 times a day took care of me, on the tail end of my opiates, pain management days, when just because of the different meds we were using, that was a lot worse than before.
Mm.
When I switched to Kratom, and everybody was talking about constipation being, like the one big thing a lot of people talk about having to deal with, I thought, well, I'm already taking Senna S. I'll just continue taking it.
Right.
And maybe I need more, maybe I need less. Let's see.
Right.
And so I didn't stop the Senna S. So I did not have any constipation issues. And as a matter of fact, I even tried taking less of it to see, well, maybe I don't need it 3 times a day. Maybe I can take less
Right.
of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm just do it twice a day. So I do twice. And
Oh,
so all these years, so I still take the same over the
that's
counter,
amazing. Yeah.
and I switch, but I take a little bit less. And I've mentioned this quite a few times in conversations with people.
Mm.
And so many people said, I didn't think to try that one. And then
Yeah.
people come back and say, wow, that really did help me.
Yep. Yep.
But
I take
people,
a fiber trach in the morning, and then I
yeah,
take and then sometimes I'll push it with some little Miralax in my
yeah.
water, and that seems to be fine. And yeah, I think I never had an issue with that before, so it was like, oh, another
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, there's certain side effects, but to be pain free and live my life, I mean, the small little things that I can deal with outweighs it dramatically. Now I did notice when there was a point when I was taking it twice a day, and I was doing it more twice a day. Um, I had my dentist tell me my teeth were getting stained, and I was like, "Oh, you brush my teeth a lot." I'm just genetically predisposed to have terrible teeth. Like I could brush my teeth all day long, and I get cavities. That's just what happens to my
Same.
teeth.
I'm the same way.
And it's like I don't even think if I took Kratom, I would still get a cavity. But they're like, we noticed that you have some staining, and they're like, as soon as you do, because I wasn't brushing right after the Kratom. And so now I just brush real soon after, just to hurry and get the stain off. And then I just use some more whitening stuff. But they haven't said anything since about that. But
I
like I
haven't
said,
heard that one before. I haven't heard anybody say about staining, though. That's
yeah,
interesting.
he's like,
Like
it looks a
coffee, I
little
guess.
stained. And I'm like, of
Like a
course
coffee
my
stain.
yeah. And I didn't really ask what color because I was like, oh, I'm probably my Kratom, which I tell everybody about
Yeah.
because everybody that knows me knows that I've had pain for a long, long time, especially at work. I measure my little cup. We have a beautiful I have a beautiful workplace, and when I go in twice a week, and I get my hot water, and so I'm always in the cafeteria, there's little cafeterias all throughout the building. And so I've been there 15 years, so people come up and they're like, oh, you taking your drink? And I have educated more people than I
Oh,
ever thought possible. And because people know me and they know that I'm not somebody that's just would take anything, they're very interested in it. And I've had quite a few people start taking it.
yeah.
So it's been interesting. They'll say, look, my brother-in-law, he can't move because of back pain. And I said, well, get him in contact with me. You kind of need somebody to kind of help you. It's a little bit intimidating if you know nothing about it. And I've done that with a few people now. So I I did have I did have somebody recently. I'd had a party for my husband for his 50th, and I had somebody say, Stacy, I saw you post that you were taking Kratom. He goes, I have really bad back pain. So he went to the gas station
Uh-oh.
and got the
708.
whatever, or the
Yeah.
cons. And he said he had never been so sick in his whole life. I said, you cannot I told you to contact me. And there was somebody else that was there that was taking it. And they're like, no, you never take that. You always do the crushed, pure leaf Kratom. He's like,
Right.
I didn't know. And it soured him on it so badly that I don't know if he's going to try it again. But I was trying to tell him, like, that's not Kratom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
And
it's scary, like those products, because they're synthesized. And when people hear us talk about kratom, we're just talking about a leaf, but
yeah,
they go to a smoke shop or convenience store and there's all these other
mhm,
extremely potent products that are nothing like what you and I
nothing.
consume. But
Yeah.
they're called kratom.
Yes. Yes. It's very deceptive. I actually had my my old boss say to me, he comes up to me last week. He said, "Is this the stuff they're banning that you drink, that green stuff?" And I said, "No, it's not." And I tried to like go into it.
Yeah.
Um, I felt like he was not listening to me very well, but I mean, I was like, "No, that's not kratom." And I've had a few people say that to me, and I've had to have a few
Yeah.
chats with them, especially my mom. My mom, she's very conservative. She doesn't want me to really taking anything, but she like encourages me now. She's like, "Stacy, just take kratom."
Oh,
She's like, why are you making yourself suffer? Like,
yeah.
why? Because she sees me suffer. And she's just like, I don't just take it. Stop being weird about it. And so I'll just take it.
I love that. Well, it's great to have support of your family, for sure. I think
Yeah.
that's incredibly important. So that leads me to my next question for you. What did your family think when they saw you, like, suffer in pain and then start switch to kratom and you're just doing so much better? What were their thoughts on that?
It was like a miracle. Like it was like taking someone that was almost an invalid, and I was not only normal, but almost back to better than I was before, because I've always been had some issues. But not only that, but it helped with my depression too.
Yeah.
Um, it gave me a little bit of a mood lift. I felt happy. I don't feel any euphoria. I just feel happier. Maybe it's also because I don't have any pain, but I think everybody thought it was a miracle. My mom at first was a little skeptical because, of course, you don't really know, but she also trusts me. And she knows I'm very, very picky with what I take, like any medication. And my husband was amazed. He was like, we had known that our friend that had the endometriosis, she had sworn by it. She's like, I have not had to go back to the hospital in years now because of it. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's just her. But when it hit my nerve pain, I was like, is this a fluke? Like, it's just like, I didn't know what to think, actually. It was shocking to me that a plant leaf could do this. My husband was shocked. Everybody was shocked. And then they were like, continue taking it. Like, obviously be careful, don't overdo it, which
Yeah.
obviously if I did, like I took the 4 grams and I threw it up. Like, I'm very sensitive. So, but they're very supportive. My kids know what it is. I educate them on that. Um, yeah, I don't all my both of my friends, when I have two good girlfriends from college, I just went on a vacation with one of them, and she knows I measure out my kratom before we do anything during the day. And it's like no one even says anything. They're just so used to it. And if I say, and I kind of like, I don't drink it fast. Like I put it in like a mug like this, fill up with hot water, and I kind of, believe it or not, I can handle the taste. There's something about it I don't mind. I know I probably one of the weird ones, but
A small percentage of y'all, that's for sure.
you know, I have I've always had low iron, like, and so I crave like earthy tastes. And so like beets, anything that's earthy taste that people mostly don't like, I like very earthy taste. So this, do I love it? No. But I can sip on this puppy for a good
Interesting.
30 minutes,
Wow.
which is probably why my teeth get stained.
I was about to say, because I was curious if like, how were you drinking it? Like I do it as a tea as well, but I just do small amount of water. I just wanna mix it up really good, add some orange juice, drink it really fast, or some kind of
Um,
juice, drink it really, so, I mean, and even drink it really fast, in the beginning, I was like, "This tastes so bad," but I got good
I
pain
know.
relief.
I
But
know. I
one
sip
day,
it.
yeah, I don't know how. So even one day into my journey, like a couple of years in, I'm like, what if I use a straw? So then it'll go down.
Oh,
Then I don't have to taste it as much, even though I'm still drinking a very small amount of the liquid part of it.
yeah.
And so I did a straw. I'm like, that was easier. I wish I'd known to do that in the beginning. So I always tell
Yeah.
people, if they're doing swamp water, like I'm not going to do toss and wash. That's not for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna just make it like the little tea, but not a big tea. Like, I, Those of
Yeah, I
y'all that
do.
drink a big drink, I'm like, "No, I just want it to be a little, like a cappuccino, like just
Yeah,
mix the powder in with a small amount of liquid as it would take to mix it in, add
right.
some juice, slam it down really quick, and now I'm getting my 6-hour pain relief."
Yeah,
But a straw did help a lot, and there
yeah.
probably would be a way to avoid staining teeth but, like, if you like sipping it, I can totally understand, like, and it's a routine you have.
It's a routine, and I do this, like, this is what I drink out of it earlier. I mean, I probably fill it to, like, right here with hot water, and then I
Yeah,
do my 3.5, and it probably takes me about 20 minutes to drink. It's something about
yeah,
it's something I don't know. It's just my way. It's just my way, and for some reason, I'm not gonna say it tastes good. It just doesn't bother me. And so I'm able to do it. I know I've given to my husband a few times, and he's like gagging. Like
yeah,
I'm like, give me a break. You cannot be gagging right now. And he chugs it, and it's.
yeah.
I've given it to him. He's a snowboarder, a skateboarder. He has so many injuries. So now he has pins all over, and cannabis is his thing. So it works for him. But every now and then, I said, why don't you try some kratom? And I'll give it to him, and it does work. He likes it, but he has to pound it really fast. And so I make it a little. I don't make it as hot. I make it pretty hot when I drink it. He pounds it, and then he's like, "Oh my gosh, how do you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just do." You know.
Yeah.
And then I've had a few people at work. They're like, "Can I taste that? It looks disgusting." And I'm like, "Sure." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're drinking that for like at least 15, 20 minutes." I'm like, "I know." But it's comforting to me, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes I totally get that, and that makes perfect sense. And
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting that, your system is, 5 days on, 2 days off,
Yeah.
other people do that. I mean, you have to figure out what works for you and
Yeah.
what helps you, what you're comfortable with. In my case, I've taken it every day for 6 years, over
Right.
6 years. I've never taken a tolerance break. I've never needed to, and I
Right.
don't know if it's from rotating vendors and strains. When I first started, people that knew more than I did would talk about that. They would say the best way to avoid tolerance issues is to always be rotating. And I
Right.
thought, well, that's interesting. And I was already buying from several different companies. I thought,
Mhm.
well, I can just regularly do that. So I always
Right.
have different ones to rotate.
Right.
And because when I was still experimenting, you want to try other brands just to see, like, you get
Yeah.
to that point where, like, well, maybe this next one will be better. And you're like, oh, this one is better. And then you go to
Yeah.
another one, you go, oh, that was mediocre. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Some are really good, some are mediocre.
Yes. It really lets me down. Like I'll get the sample packs, and it's like a kid opening a Christmas present, and I'm like, "Oh, it looks really green. Like, is this?" And sometimes it just doesn't hit. Like I felt
Yeah.
nothing, and I've gone through at least 5, 6 vendors, and I still go back to the one, and it's just I can't get that level. Whatever I don't know what it's a green strain, and I don't know what they specifically do. It looks like a higher percentage. I can never say the word of what exactly.
Yeah, midragynine.
Yes.
There's multiple ways of saying it. I just say
Yeah.
midragynine. I always say midragynine.
Right.
I do well with the high mint greens is what I've
Yeah.
noticed, because
Yeah.
some of the vendors will list what that percentage of the midragynine is,
Yeah.
or you go look up the QR code or go to their website for their certificate of
Right.
analysis to see it. But some of them, like some of the brands I like, they actually have it right on the package, the amount of the
Yeah.
midragynine. And I've noticed when it's the higher ones, I get the best pain relief, but
Yeah.
everybody's
That's me
different.
too. If
Everybody's
I
different.
if I go down a certain percentage, if it's like below, for me personally, if it's below a 1.4,
Yeah,
I don't feel anything. So I
same
have
here.
to be
Yeah.
specific. I was, like I said, adding a little red here and there just to sometimes I get the jitters a little. I have tried white. Oh,
White's
no.
too much.
I
I do
felt
not like
I
it.
felt like I was like, oh, I just felt very jittery, and I felt like my skin was crawling, and I didn't like it. Red just didn't really. It maybe was a little calming, maybe, but nothing for pain. So it
Same
was like,
here, same here. It's just sometimes I might feel a little bit calmer with it, but no pain relief. It's like, okay,
yeah,
but I want pain relief. That's the only reason why I take
it's the
this.
only reason I take it.
I would love to get some good sleep from it. When people talk about the best sleep they've had from red kratom, I'm like, I wish that worked for me too, but it never
Me
has. And that's
neither.
okay. Because for me, the main thing, if I can get pain relief for my neck and back with my degenerative disc disease, I'm
Yeah.
happy. Now I have
Yes.
other pains,
Yeah.
I don't look
Yeah.
it, but I'm 60.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You look great.
thank you. Good genes. My mom always looked young. My mom always looked young, and I'm like, I hope I'm like that when I get older. But we're going to have other pains as we
Yeah.
age, and kratom doesn't always help my other joint pains and stuff. And
Yeah.
that's okay because my main is the degenerative disc disease. And
Yes.
if I can have that under control, I can live with anything else. And
Absolutely.
so I do great. And I will supplement with Tylenol from time to time for some of
Hmm.
my joint pain or Aleve or whatever. Is figuring
Hmm.
out what works for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, for me, I'm just trying to like, I also take some seizure medication. So it's like, I did notice that sometimes if I took 2 doses of kratom, I felt like there's a feeling when you're getting ready to have a seizure, like you could feel it coming. I noticed it made me feel a little off, just me personally, but that's because I have a seizure disorder. It's myoclonic seizure, so it almost looks like I have Tourette's. It's really bizarre,
Huh.
and it gets so bad at night. So if I don't take my seizure medication at night, I can't sleep. But I also can't sleep anyways now that you're in menopause. So it's like I'm
Yeah.
trying everything. Um, magnesium. I'm doing everything, every supplement you could take. I'm trying. And, I don't drink alcohol. So, like, really, I'm kind of boring now. I don't do much. I mean, I take my kratom tea. That's about it. But
Yeah.
it makes me happy. I mean, I've always had the depression since my first child. And, um, they put me on an antidepressant and I'm now down to 5 milligrams of it. I've been on it for 20 years. I cannot get off of it. I have tried. Um, Everybody's tried to get me off of it. Slow, it doesn't matter. I've tried it and it's not even helping my depression anymore. So I'm like, let's just get off of it. But when I try, I get severe vertigo and
Mm.
nausea. And I said, you know what? I'm not dealing with it. I'm just going to take the 5 milligrams and then I take the kratom and it helps with the depression. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm just, and unfortunately it doesn't help with the withdrawals from antidepressants. Kratom does not. It didn't help with the vertigo and the nausea. It helped with pain. But yeah, I mean, it's just like I did take one of my seizure meds out about a few months ago, so I've only had one now. But it's just, what works for everybody, and you're a different stage in your life. You're like, okay, that's not working anymore. Let's
Yeah.
shift this around. And I mean, God bless the people that don't have to do this.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're lucky.
I have this pill container, and I've had it since I was in my young 20s, and my college friends are like, Stacy, I have never seen you without your pill container. And I used to take offense at it, and now I'm like, I don't really care. You
Yeah.
know, it's just what it takes to keep this going.
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Your story is so interesting, and I'm so glad we're doing this because I know
yeah.
there are people listening right now that are getting so much value out of this. You're such a great storyteller. I know I already said that, but I'm gonna say it again because you
Thanks.
are. You really paint the picture really well for us. Before we wind down, is there anything that we haven't covered yet you think people need to hear about? I mean, you're a great advocate. I love that you've been like educating people around you. Is there anything else we haven't covered yet that we want to make sure is out there
I
for
just
people?
think just do your research. Make sure it's an approved vendor. Don't go to gas stations. Don't go to the head shops. Start with the sample packs. For me, I measure it out. Some people might just want to take a teaspoon. Start slow, slow and low,
Low and slow, yeah,
slow and
that's
slow.
that's popular for to tell people, yeah, go low
I
and
think
slow.
it's always good to take a stool softener. Just pop it in there. It can't hurt you.
It
You know what
won't
I
yeah, it
mean?
won't hurt, it
It
won't
won't
hurt.
hurt. And you know what? It may combat something that might change your mind about it. Maybe you're like, oh, I can't deal with this, and you'll stop it. And I think with anything, you just need to be cautious. You can't overdo it, right? You can't take it like 20 times a day. You need to be cautious with anything you take, even a Tylenol.
Yeah,
And I think I'm a big researcher, so I'm constantly up on the laws. And in Michigan, it's legal. I'm always terrified that something's going to happen, but then my husband's like, just stop, just stop thinking like that. I'm always just seeing what's going on, and because I have family all over. I do travel sometimes from state to state, and I go over to Spain with it, which is always very nerve wracking for me. So just keeping up on the laws statewide and worldwide, I have to do because I do travel. So that's a little nerve wracking, but I've done it a lot. I still get nervous, but just being careful with that, and just know that, I mean, it's just a plant. It's just a plant in the coffee family. It's not an opioid. It's not something that's going to make you high. It's something that, if you have pain, especially, it's really going to be beneficial.
That's so well said. I love that. What a great way to end this amazing conversation, Stacy, because I mean, you wrapped it up so well, and you're giving great advice for anybody that wants to learn more about Kratom and
Yeah,
get started. And that's
yeah.
really, you should write a book because you're good. You're really
I got a
good.
lot going on.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't want to give you something else to do, but you would write, you would do it really well, well with a book. This has been great, Stacy. Thank you for
Yeah,
taking the
thank
time
you.
today. We appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you so much.